Hi. So we're in the workshop today and my wife came across this washing machine on Facebook. And this is a really big washing machine for the UK. It's an 18 kilogram. Now, most washing machines are, 6, 7, 8, and a 9 kilograms a big one. This one's 18, so it's classed as a kind of industrial washer, but I don't know exactly how industrial it is. But she paid £100 for it, and I think they're about £1,000 brand new. But I'll show you what the problem is. So this is the drum where the washing goes in, and it's not supposed to do that. It's supposed to turn around nice and smoothly. The owners did have a quote to get it repaired, and I think this company said it was going to be about £500, which seems a little excessive, so I'm sure we can do a bit better than that. I think the first thing I'll do is try and take the lid off, and maybe there's an inspection port at the back here. So I think we'll take that off and we'll take the lid off and we'll see exactly what the damage is, or see exactly how easy or hard it is to repair it. I'm going to start by removing this. Right, well this looks a bit of a mess. Let's have a look in here. Right, might have to shine a bit more light on here a sec. One moment, please. Right, back with the light. So it looks like the bearing's gone all rusty and it's been leaking water out the back of it, which has been going down here and all over on the inside here. It looks like somebody's taken the belt off. So perhaps when the service technicians came out to have a look at it, they say exactly what the problem was. He's taken the belt off. That's the only thing I can assume, unless the belt just came off. I don't know. But right, let's have a look at the top. There's 3 screws on the top here, so I shall remove those. There we go. Let's put this to one side. Right. You can see a big concrete block at the front here. It's for like a weight for when it's got washing in, so it doesn't wobble about too much. And looks like there's another big concrete block at the back here. We've got 2 big springs that hold the outer drum in place, and I think there's some shock absorbers at the bottom. So I think the best way to tackle this is going to be to try to remove the front of the machine, because it looks like the sides are all one piece of metal. There's no join there. It looks like they're all riveted. So it looks like we've got to figure out how to get the front off. So I think the first thing I'm going to try and do is remove this glass door from the front, and it looks like that's held on with these 2 screws here. There we go, that's that out the way. Next I'm going to remove this drawer here. There's just a little tab you press down just here, and that allows that to come out. And it looks like that reveals a couple of screws just in here. So let's take those out. I think I'll put those in the drawer just so I know where they are and where they go. Right, what next? Right, so I'm going to try and remove these 3 screws here, just to see if I can get the front panel off now. Right, let's see if this comes off. Right, looks like there's a connector just down here with a little push tab. There we go. Just a little connector here. That goes to here. Right, I'll get this front panel out of the way. And it looks like that gives us access to 1, 2, 3, 4 screws just around the front here. So let's take those out. Right, I'm going to remove this door switch next, which is held on by these 2 screws here. And I think now I need to remove this seal. And that seems to be held on with this spring here. So I'm going to try and get a screwdriver behind it and just flip that forward. Right, that's that off. Let's put that to one side. And we'll see if we can get this seal off. Right, now let's see if we can get the front of the washing machine off now. I'm not sure whether there's anything else holding it on, but let's have a go. Now I'm not sure if there's a screw in the bottom here where the drain is. Just in this part here. Right, and there's a couple of screws in there. I don't think you'd be able to see them with the camera. I'll just take this off the tripod a second. Yeah, but we've got two screws. Just one there and one here. So I shall remove those. Right, let's see if this front comes off now then. And I still think there's some screws at the bottom here. So I've just pulled this plastic tray out, and at the back here there's another two screws hidden away. So I shall just remove those. Right, let's see if the front wants to come off now then. Yes. Right, we'll get that bit out of the way. So next I'm going to remove these concrete blocks. I just think it's going to be easier to manage without all the extra weight on it. So that's what my plan is. Alright, let's do the same on the bottom. So I'm going to disconnect the heater here, which is just at the bottom of the drum, just down here. I've got a couple of spade connectors. Let's just double check what colour wire that was. So that was a blue wire, went to the right. And a white wire went to the left. We've got an earth wire just here. And obviously we've got a little temperature sensor just at the top here. I'll just press the button at the top and unplug that. Right, I'm probably going to have to disconnect. So I'll cut these cable ties here. And then there's an earth wire that runs round to the back of the machine where all those rusty bearings are. There's a little clip and just in the centre of the screen there that we need to squash in. I don't know how well you'll be able to see this. Just to release that bit pipe there that's got the yellow stuff around it, and that goes up to the pressure sensor that detects how full the machine is. And then the other thing we need to undo is this hose clamp that is just on the bottom there, that holds this big drain pipe on. So I'll just get a screwdriver and I'll undo that Phillips head hose clamp. So the first mistake I've made so far is these cable ties, you don't have to cut them, because I thought you had to cut the cable tie here, but you can just squash the little piece at the back here and you can just pop it through the hole. But I've already cut that one, so anyway, I'll just put a cable tie around there or something and that should be okay for that. And what I've done as well is I've unplugged the motor, which just plugs in just in the circuit board down here. So this is actually a 3-phase brushless motor that it uses, so I was a bit surprised there. So right, let's have a look around the other side. I've got that bottom hose disconnected now as well. You can just see there. I'll just try and rest the light here. So that's disconnected now. So we'll have a look around the back and see what this needs disconnected now then. Right, so this pipe at the top here needs disconnected. So I've got a hose clamp here, and I'm just going to use a pair of these mole grips just to grab that and just squash it, and hopefully it should just come off like that. Right, I'm going to remove that earth wire that feeds through these holes here and goes round to the front, and it's an 8mm. I mean, it looks like you might get a Phillips screw in there, but I'm not sure whether it would just round off with it being a bit rusty, so it seems to have slackened off. I'm just going to put that screw back in there for safekeeping. And I think I'm going to remove this concrete block next, that's at the back here, because we've still got a concrete block at the back. So I think I'll remove that as well, just to make it a bit lighter. And this one's held on with 10mm screw bolts, whereas the front ones were 13mm. So the next thing I'm going to undo are these little shock absorbers, and it looks like you've got to poke this plastic pin through. There's like a little catch just here that you press in, and then you can poke the pin forward, and then you give these a 90-degree twist, and they should just come away from the drum by the look of it. So we'll give that a go. Just moved a bit there. There we go. That's just popped out. Right. So that's the pegs there. You can see the little press thing that you've got to press in. Now let's see if we can get this shock absorber. Now I'm not sure there's some little pegs you've got to click in or something here at the sides. I don't want to break it off, so I'll just investigate that a little bit more and then we'll come back to it. Right, so I managed to get it off, so there is a little peg either side. So what I did was I poked a screwdriver down one side and gently turned it, and it just popped off. So that's one of the shock absorbers off, and I've got to do the same with the other three now. So I've finished removing all of the shock absorbers, and I've decided to remove this, or unloosen the screws on this front panel here. So what I can do now is just lift this panel up and just put it to one side. It'll make it easier to get the drum out. So the only thing that's holding the drum in now is this spring over here, and the other spring which is just down here. So my wife has just appeared, so I'm going to ask her to give us a hand just to grab the front of the drum, and we'll see if we can lift it out. So you can just stick your hands in there, please. We'll just put that on the ground there for now. Right, and it's out. So the next thing, I've got to undo all of those screws around the perimeter of it here, split the drum, which is the outer one, and then try and remove the inner drum to get at the bearings. So I've finished taking out all of the screws around the outside of the drum here. And it's not looking good, guys, because I've just noticed this. I'll just raise the camera up a little bit so you can see properly. So it looks like these bearings have been that badly worn that the metal drum here on the inside has been wearing against the plastic here, and it's actually worn through and cracked this outer drum here. So not just bearings this is going to need, this is going to need a new front outer drum, and I don't know what else yet. I don't know how they've let it get so bad. Surely you would have known that there was something wrong with it. It looks like they've been using it, even though it's just been grinding metal pretty much. You know, there's no other way to describe it, I don't think. So I'm going to see if I can separate this drum and then see if there's any other problems. And hopefully there's not, but yeah, I'm not holding my breath now. So I'm just going to try and put a screwdriver in here, see if we can... Oh, there we go, that came away really easily. Right, let's get this top part off. And you can see on the inside there, where it's been wearing away. You see there's a big groove. There's a big groove all the way around here. Right, so I've just flipped the drum over, and this nut was actually just hand tight. So I don't know whether the technician, when he's came out to have a look at this, has loosened this off, or whether it's worked its way loose or what. We'll see if we can remove this belt drive pulley. There we go. Now I don't know whether I'll just be able to lift this off or whether we might have to tap it a bit or not. No. Let's try. Yeah, I think it might need a bit of gentle persuasion, that. Oh. Right, well, we've got the drum separated, and if you look down here you can see a load of bits of ball bearings and things that were part of the old bearing here. The back of the outer drum seems okay, but we still need to try and remove the bearings from it. However, what I have found, which isn't good news, is this stainless steel ring here. And what that does, there's an oil seal in the back of the outer drum, which is this rubber thing here. This rubber thing here. And what that stainless steel ring does, it's actually part of this spider, it's called, that's on the back of this inner drum. And what the stainless steel ring does, it stops water from getting from here with the seal that runs nice and smoothly around the outside here. It's because it obviously turns. It stops water from getting into the bearings. But what's happened is, because the bearings have been worn so badly, if we look at this, we can see it's all scored and pitted. And you can't replace that because it's part of this spider. So I think this is going to need a new spider as well as a new front outer drum section. So I'm not sure how economical this is going to be to repair now. Well, a little bit more progress. I was going to call it a night, but then I thought I'll try and get these bearings and water or oil seal out of here. So I managed to get them out of there. That's the bearing carrier. And what we have is, let's get that in focus there. So this bearing looks like a 6306Z and made by VCD by the look of it. This bearing is a 6307Z, again made by VCD. And the oil seal does have a couple of numbers on it. It's got 50, 100, and then 9/14 by the look of it. I don't know whether that means anything. That's the only numbers that I could actually see on here. But bear in mind, I haven't got my microscope yet, and my eyes aren't that good. So YB, I can see there. But I couldn't see any other markings on it. Well, one of the other things that I noticed, these are the actual ball bearings that came out of this bearing here. And have you seen the state of them? Some of them are, they're not even round anymore. They're like semicircular and just like bits of, I don't know. It's like, how do you get a bearing? How do you let a bearing get that bad? I just don't understand it. Right, well that's where I'm up to now, so I'll make some phone calls tomorrow and see if we can get some parts.
3 days later.
So, this outer drum is actually split on the other side as well. You can see there. So it's split all the way down here and all the way down there, where it's worn all the way through. And it's split on the other side here as well. And nearly worn all the way through. So the good news is I've managed to get a new drum, a new outer drum, but the bad news is the cost of it. I've already fitted the seal of the old drum to here and the heater, which is just done by undoing that bolt there, and I've stuck the bit aluminium tape stuff back on there, which I guess is some kind of heat sink. But this whole drum assembly here, this is just one piece of plastic, and it's £200 for that. So we'll have to tally up at the end of the repair and see exactly how cost effective it was. I've got all the new bearings and new seals here as well. That's the new main seal there. And I've got the new main bearings. And I've also managed to locate one of these sealing ring things here. So I'm going to have to fit that to the new Spider, which is probably going to be my next job. And in the meantime, I'm going to pop these bearings in the freezer so they shrink slightly, so they'll be easier to fit in the drum, which is over here still. Right, let's get on with that then. Right, I've removed the Spider and I've put it in the hydraulic press here because I need to press this stainless steel washer seal thing into place. So what I've got a bit of the old bearing here. There's a spacer. I've got a bit of scaffolding pipe, and I've got just a piece of flat metal on the top there. So we'll pump this up and see how we get on. So there wasn't any fitting instructions for one of these, so hopefully this works out. Well, something went and it's starting to go down. So hopefully that's it. Looks like that went on alright actually. I'm well happy with that. That worked out better than I thought it was going to. Excellent. I've reattached the Spider to the drum. There's just a few screws around each side. There's just like 2 screws here, 2 screws here, and 2 screws just here. So that's done now. So now the next job is to put these bearings back in the outer drum here. So I've got them here. They've been in the freezer for a while. So let's see if we can get those in. I should use a block of wood and a hammer. I think that's it. Right, now the next thing to put in is going to be the seal, which I have here. And I'm probably going to use the old seal just on top of it so I can just get it down there a bit. Right, that looks about it. Right, so that's the bearing and the seal fitted. Right, we'll flip it over and we'll do the bearing on the other side. I've just been looking here and giving this a bit of a clean up, and it's nearly scored through here as well. Luckily it hasn't gone through on this side though. Right, let's see if we can get this other bearing in. And this is an SKF bearing that I'm putting in here. Would have been better to use the bearing press, but the drum's that big it won't actually fit on the bearing press. There we go. That's that one in. Right, now to get the drum back into here, we'll put the wheel back on the back of it, and then we'll put the front of the drum on. That doesn't want to fit on there for some reason. It was a bit tight to get off. I've just finished putting this cog back on. It was a bit of a job getting it on because I think I might have burred the top of the shaft slightly when we were hitting it out to get the bearings out. So now I've got to put the belt on. I'm just going to put it like that and then rotate the drum hopefully. And there's a lot of tension on this belt. There we go. Took a bit of doing. Right, we'll put the front part of the drum on now. This is the new part that I've just bought. And be careful to get the heater in between the two little metal bits on the other drum. I think I'll just put a couple of screws in here just to line it up for now. I'll get the rest of the screws in then. And a good little tip for when you're putting screws into plastic is if you turn it the opposite way as if to unscrew it until you hear a click like that, then it won't actually cut a new thread. It'll actually be in its original thread. So just a little tip there for people who didn't know. So I think what I'm going to do next is refit this bottom concrete block, and the reason is because of these things here sort of like fall out the bottom. So I'm going to put these in instead of I think it'll just be easier than it's sort of trying to juggle these in and they're falling out with gravity when it's in situ in the machine. So it looks like these shaped bits go to the outside. Right, we're going to put the drum back in the washing machine now. I've got my son James here who's going to give us a quick lift with it. So, right, let's see how well this goes then. Right, excellent, thank you very much. Well, I've just finished putting the shock absorbers back on, which was just a matter of just attaching them at the top here, poking them in the hole, giving them half a turn, and then putting the pin in the bottom. So I've done this one, the one at the back, there you can just see it, and there's one over this side, and the one just here. So that's all four of those on. And I think I'm going to put the front counterweight on next. Right, we'll just tighten those up. Right, I'll get this front part I think on next. Right, got this hose to reattach. Right, that's it. And one thing that I've just noticed with this hose, there's a little arrow here and a little bit of rubber pointer, so looks like you've got to line those two up as well. I'm going to install the rear weight block next. So I think that's pretty much everything done at the top of the unit now. So now we need to go back under to the bottom and connect up a couple of hoses, the motor and the heater. Now it's getting rather windy outside at the moment. I've got this little earth wire to reattach. I've just ran it up the back of the motor, just through all the holes where it goes there. So we'll just quickly get that back on. So that little job done. So that's the motor wire plugged in. I've coupled up this bottom hose here, and the last thing to do is just plug this temperature sensor back in. Right, so that's all that done. Right, I think it's just a matter of putting the front and that back on now in the control panel. Right, let's get this front on. Might give that a bit of a clean out first, it's a bit dirty at the bottom there. Let's give that a clean out first, I think. Right, that's a bit better. Right, let's get the door lock on next. Right, let's get this door seal sorted out and then we'll get the door back on. Right, happy with that. Right, let's get this door back on. Right, now there's just a few screws left at the bottom to go in where the drain outlet goes. And I think I've lost a screw. Right, that was a long repair. Right, I've got it plugged in and I've got a water supply hooked up to it. Now, you'll not be noticing in any case, but the water in the barns here is quite brown because we're not on mains water here. We haven't got mains water coming to the house, so I've got filters and everything in the house to filter the water, but I haven't got that going to the barns. So we'll switch this on. And I'll just use this so we can possibly see something on the inside. I'm not sure how well that's going to show up with it being a black door, so I might have to shine a light in there so we can see. And then we'll just put it on, I don't know, rinse and spin. Let's see what it does. So I might have to lower this down a bit. Well, I can see it moving there. I'll lower the tripod down a bit so we can get a better view. Right, it's stopped filling now and it's just started going round. Right, so we'll let it do that for a bit and then we'll come back when it's spinning. Right, well it's just doing its drain cycle there, and I've just got the pipe just going out the side of the shed there. You might expect to see the water there. There we go, so the pump and everything's working. I think it's just going to start its spin cycle now. I think it's just doing this to load balance the load, just so it doesn't vibrate too much. Right, I'd say that's all working then. So I'll leave it on test for a little bit and then we'll come back to it. I thought I'd just quickly pull the back off so we could have a look. And we haven't got any leaks or anything, so that's good. Well, it says it's got 1 minute left and it's still going. Still busy spinning away there. Right, I think that's it then. Excellent. So the price that I paid for the washing machine was £100. It was £200 for the replacement drum. Then it was £50 for the bearings and £20 for this replacement ring. So in total, £370. And I think a new one of these washing machines is around about £1,200. So still okay. Still not bad for what I paid for it and what we had to spend on it. So still a bit of a saving there. Right then, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more like it, please subscribe. Any comments or questions, please leave it in the comments section below. And as always, have a great day. Thanks for watching.